Alright, you've probably seen my studio before, but I don't know if I have shown anyone my secret storage closet. It's right here. Open. It's a great storage closet, but I have to step up on this bench right here. Whoops, to get up. The upper closet area is quite long. It goes from one end of the room to the other. It's maybe 12 feet long. Makes for a great storage area. Well, what I wanted to show you was these things. These are 3D printed parts that I get from Michael. And I've got more. All kinds of shapes and sizes. Oh, project. Ooh, there's something sharp there. And I'll get mostly plastic, some metal as you can see, but that's what I used for this next project that you're about to see.
This has a little bit too much texture on it. This painting that I scripted and painted over, I thought I would be okay with the texture, but I'm not. So I'm going to grind some of it down. Yay.
So the size of this canvas is about 30 inches by 15 inches. And I put the camera at the side and it's on quite a bit of an angle, just so that I could get closer to the canvas. I wanted the view to be, I wanted everybody to get all the details that they could. Anyway, so I'm gluing on flat things first, just to get rid of them. Using them up, even if they're fairly flat, they still create some subtle, interesting textures. So I'm using white glue here, and occasionally I use some molding paste if I have things that don't lie flat. I'll just fill them up, fill the bumps up with some molding paste. And after it's flat, I paint it over with gesso, just to get rid of the differences of color. And now I'm just contemplating what to do next. So I just play around with it, pushing things around, waiting for inspiration to come. Will it come? Maybe. One of my main goals when I do upcycling is to use up as much as I can on one single painting, taking into consideration the kind of textures that they create. So I'm just playing around still. The upper left corner there is something that was part of my original vision, getting those little blocks coming from one side. Anyway, now that I've found most of the textures that I want to use, I start aligning them. I want right angles and not a lot of diagonals. So it gets a little tricky as the more things that I put on, the more gets in the way, the more difficult it is to keep them straight. But I forge on and finish laying everything down close to how I want it. Once I start gluing, then I can position these a little bit more accurately. But right now they're just floating. And it's time for glue. I was considering picking up a lot of these pieces and putting glue under them, but I didn't want to lose the places where I had them. So I leaked glue, thin white glue, into as many spots as I could, just to set them in place. And then once they were all in place, then and the glue had dried, I was able to pick up some of the bigger pieces and put some glue underneath those, just so that they'd be a little bit more secure. And now that I have everything glued down fairly securely, I get to add gesso. What am I mixing there? It looks like gesso with some glue in it. That wouldn't be right. I don't know what it was. Anyway, it's gesso time. But before that, I wanted to take a few close-ups of the very interesting setup I had made, and just to keep a record of what actually those pieces were. I think it looks pretty neat. And then I accidentally pressed video instead of time-lapse, and I have a 30-minute video of me applying gesso to this. But I'm going to speed it up, don't worry. At least now I know it takes about 30 minutes to gesso one layer of this painting. I think I had to glue down a few pieces extra that ended up loosening. So, you know, the first gessoing probably took longer than the second one. And the third one. And then I started with color. So nice to see the yellow color. I just have a general idea of what I want to end up with. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. I liked the orange. This is where I started making a mistake. I started putting dark into the creases, into the lower area, and that's not what I wanted, so I had to get rid of that. I wanted the light to stay in the valleys. Well, I was still wondering how to get to where I needed to get to. I had an idea in my head, but I didn't know how to do it. So I just went from bad to worse. And I wanted some lights and I wanted some darks, but I didn't really know where they needed to be or how to achieve what I wanted. So, yeah, gotta make it worse before it gets better. Worse before it gets better. Worse before it gets better. It was time to bring in my feature color. It looks pretty grim. So I knew I wanted to use this color, so why not put it everywhere? As you can see, I'm purely experimenting. I knew I wanted a deep, rich purple. I don't know why I made a deep, rich blue. But what ends up happening is that every layer of color that I put down, some of it will stay. So it just adds to the depth of color and richness. Now, I didn't add any black. It just so happens that the colors that I chose, I think it was phthalo blue and maroon, a combination of some dark colors that made that dark color that looks black, although it's not black. Anyway, because it looked black, I wanted to get rid of it. So I had to do some work to get rid of it. Some of the color combos were interesting though. It's not how I wanted to end up, but it was interesting. So here I go, gessoing. No, actually that's not gesso, that's white paint. Painting over all the dark, as much of it as I can, because I don't know, it just didn't look right. It's not what I had intended, even though I didn't know exactly where I wanted to end up. But the great thing about acrylic paint is that you can change it over and over and over again. Sometimes I don't know what I want until I see what I don't want. So make the mistakes. I just go ahead and make it as many mistakes as I can, and then I look at it and see, okay, that's not it, that's not it. So it's kind of eliminating what I know I don't want. So added the white, added more orange and yellow, and kind of started over again. I think that I figured I was contemplating a city, so since I was at this point of wrecking everything, I might as well make the city streets as bright as I could. So I added some gold, reflective gold. This is a static photo. It just shows you how dark it looks. Maybe I had the wrong setting. Anyway, this is a little bit too bright. This is when I play video, or when I press video or time-lapse, the blues just sing and they're not that bright really. I wonder why. Maybe it's that contrast effect of the orange and the blue, which are complementary colors. So I'm getting my blue and my purple back, and now that I've got, I'm a little more in the right direction as far as color goes, I have to decide where I want the color to go. So here's the final, and it is very difficult to photograph or video. It's just maybe the contrast between the colors, I don't know, or different iPhone settings that I'm not aware of. But it is this issue of subtle color changes in photographs and videos is not anyone else's problem but mine and the artist, who is very particular, picky, or familiar with the real color of things. So I think it doesn't make a big difference for anybody else. However, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate a thumbs up And I wish you all the best. Happy New Year to everybody. Bye-bye for now.